Hello and welcome, my dear scale modelers, to my small hobby YouTube channel. My name is Tomo and today we're gonna be building a diorama. Hello guys, so first of all, thank you so very much for staying tuned and staying subscribed to this channel. I much appreciate it. I know I haven't been around much this past few months, especially with this corona stuff going on, and it's just been a crazy year. On a professional and personal level for me, so yeah, but you know, I have been active, and today we are going to be taking a look at my first ever diorama build, which was actually a challenge that was presented in our scale modeling club. The challenge was build something Africa themed. It could be anything Africa themed, just make it work. So I first thought about Kubelwagen. Why? Because I really like them and I really wanted to build one for a long time, and now it was a perfect opportunity. But I didn't want to make just the little car in 1/35th scale. I wanted to put it in a scene, and for a long time I've been toying with the idea of actually pushing myself on making a diorama. So yeah, I did it. This video is going to be broken down into two parts. The first part will be the build portion of the models and painting them, and in the second part you're going to see the build process of the diorama. The reason for that is I don't want to make this video too long. Yeah, let's just take a look at the video now. Hope you enjoy it. Well, hello there. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the build process for this diorama. As I said before, it's going to be in two parts simply because there's a lot of stuff to do, and we will start with the Kubelwagen assembly. As you can see, it's a stock Kubelwagen from Tamiya, and it's absolutely excellent. This model kit is superb. It's a little younger, so here are the instructions. I'm going to show you real quick. It's really simple to put together, and it just goes together like Legos. Really, some pieces just slot into place. For the most part, I will be time-lapsing the hell out of this, because otherwise it's going to take a week and a half to just show you everything. But here I'm assembling, so the bottom chassis and the motors and the suspension, it's pretty straightforward really. I just glue everything into place, and then afterwards I will paint this. Now my OCD did kick in a little bit because I didn't want to skip on any, do any shortcuts. I painted everything, even the motors that are exposed on the bottom, because I really wanted to well, just make a model pristine as I could, even though it would be placed on the diorama and you wouldn't be able to see the bottom portion. I just wanted to do it. I just loved it. Anyway, this is the assembly of the bonnet or the hood. This, I think, was the glove compartment box that you see inside the cockpit of the car, and these are the two hooks that go in the front so you can tow something or be towed. This is the engine compartment, and you can buy an extra detail kit from Tamiya that you can actually mount inside, and that's the engine and mechanic, and it's really cool. I really recommend it. I'm probably gonna build one soon, well, soon-ish, but yeah, I really liked the Kubelwagen and I wanted to incorporate it here, but because it was Africa themed, I just didn't. Here I just glued in place the steering column and the foot pedals, and of course the shifter, and right now it's going to be the handbrake. For the like I said, the model is really straightforward, very simple. It goes together really quickly. I mean, I probably built the build portion of this Kubelwagen was probably about an hour. It was really quick. One thing I would mention though is that it is nice if you leave those little support struts. As you see, the little thick support struts of the sprue that is holding the I-pillar together. You shouldn't remove the support strut unless you're actually putting doors in, because there's a chance you might break it off, so I didn't. So here I'm just gluing the two halves of the body together. I'm sorry for not being in frame, it's, my camera. Here I didn't have my new camera set up, I just used my phone, so yeah. So here I'm just gluing all the little parts together. It's really going together really quick and smoothly, and I'm really enjoying this process. I don't know, it's really fun to actually build a model where you don't need to do a lot of sanding or using putty and all that. it's just enjoyable. Here are the assembly of the seats. Again, this is probably the most fiddly thing to do here. I know I make it look easy, but I had a little trouble in the first one. The alignment of the seats, the supports of the seats, so where the seat actually sits on the support or frame, isn't perfect, but on this such small scale, it's not going to be noticed. So this is the hooks for the back, the bumper. These again a little bit fiddly, but nothing too horrible. They just slot in place. You put some glue in, it's just fine. You can see here I just slot one in place and it's fine. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, I'm just gluing those in place now. This voiceover is so good, isn't it? I'm so enjoying it. Yes. What's this? Oh yeah, this is the license plate mount that you put on the doors of the engine cover. Engine cover doors? Yeah, I guess. Anyway, this is where I glue those things in place. And again, the tolerances are so great. You just push a little bit of glue on the edges and it just flows in and sticks like butter. Well, butter doesn't stick. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is the backlight. Oh, if you're gonna see something crooked, like this backlight is a little bit crooked on the video, I fixed that afterward. So, don't be all, hey man, you made a light crooked. So, I didn't. I fixed it. Yeah, this is the cover for the intake for the engine cooling, I guess, because it's Africa and dust shouldn't be inside the engine compartment. And now I'm fitting the bumper on the bottom, again using a little bit of time lapse because it's just easier this way. And this is the fuel filler cap, and I'm just improvising and putting this spare wheel on the bonnet to see how it was looking. Now these are the struts that I was saying before. You should really leave them on to the very last second when you're putting doors. Otherwise, like, I'm very clumsy and the eye pillar would be just gone if I would have done that. So yeah, I've removed them and glued the doors in place. For a while I was toying with the idea of probably making the doors, like the the driver side door, open. But then I said, well, no, because I'm going to be painting it and handling the model, and I'm probably going to break it off. My track record with that is really good, so I decided just to close all the 4 doors. And yeah, that's how I did. This is again a little bit more fiddly part. This is a magnification, that's why the video is so crappy. It's digital zoom. And this is the black light that goes on the bonnet. Here I'm gluing in the motors for the windscreen wipers. It's very simple, straightforward. You just put them in and it's done. And I just correct this one because it was a little crooked. And this is a little bit crooked. Well, not crooked, but difficult too, because it attaches only on one point. So you have to be very ginger and patient with this. And you may have to make sure that they are straight. Otherwise, when you put the canopy for the roof on, it's not gonna be properly seated. So the lights go on very quickly and simply. You just slot them in, put a little glue, and and don't put too much glue in, because otherwise those little pins are gonna be wobbly and it's gonna be horrible. Here is the black light, or the night light. It's on the front. I thought it was like some sort of an intake, but this is basically a black light for driving at night if you don't want to see the cars coming from a mile away. And here, this is the assembly of the figure that comes together with this particular model kit. It's just a driver that stands with his arm at his side. Here was a little bit difficult. Maybe I did a mistake, but when you put the head inside the body or the torso, there is a little bit of a gap on his neck. So I had to use a little putty to fill it in, but nothing really serious. In total, I think it has 3 parts, so the hand, the head, and the hat. That's basically it, and the figure is pretty much done. It's again very simple, straightforward, nice little kit, nice little figure. And here it is. See, little gap in the neck area. So what am I doing here? Oh yeah, I'm attaching the side horn on the car. I know in the shot it's a little bit crooked, so don't get all OCD on me. I'm already OCD-ish enough. When I saw the mistake, I fixed it. So yeah, it's nice looking now. Here I'm attaching a steering wheel to the steering column, but don't do that. You're supposed to put this after you put the dashboard in, because I had to rip it off. Here are the parts that need to be primed and painted, and for this purpose I just merged the two halves of the vehicle together to apply primer. I'm using AK primer, acrylic based primer. I diluted it and I sprayed it on nice and thin in 3 or 4 layers, I think. And I did it in 2 parts, like I joined the 2 parts together because I wanted to make sure that I have good adhesion when I'm gluing them permanently together. Oh, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. This is the construction of the tent, because after I was waiting for the paint to dry, I just went to the tent and the figure that goes with it. I didn't have footage of the build assembly of the tent because my camera didn't tell me that I ran out of memory, so yeah, that was fun. Anyway, this is the radio that comes with the tent. This is a little older kit and it shows. There are some substantial gaps. Yeah, Tamiya in the olden days had problems with fit issues, but again, nothing like you couldn't handle because it's a really simple kit. You have the tent, the radio, the box that the radio sits on, the radio operator, and that's basically it. And here's the guy, see, in pieces, the carnage, kind of cleaning him off. I'm just using my hobby blade knife to clean all the excess edges that are part of the molding process. It's just a lot of scratching. I didn't use sandpaper because I was afraid that I'm gonna be losing too much detail if I do it with that way. So I just scraped off, and it worked out fine. It's just, you know, all the little nooks and crannies. I try to be as thorough as possible, but only when you prime the figure you see how horrible job you did the first time, so you had to fix the mistakes. But again, that's what the primer is for. You see all the mistakes, so that's why priming is really, really important if you want to make your models and figures look the business. If you're wondering which knife I'm using Tamiya's Pro knife. Yeah, those are expensive, but they're really good. Tamiya fanboy. Here I'm going to be showing you quite soon the finished result of all that scraping, and these are, you know, the tent, the box, the radio, and the radio operator that sits on this little canister. And you'll see here in the next shot that there are some gaps to be filled on the tent. Some of them could be avoided if I've done a better job of gluing the parts together, but some are inevitable, like this one on top, and this on the back. This is my fault. On the radio, of course, there's a huge gap on the side, and there's a huge gap like here around the waist of the guy. So I just used Vallejo's liquid putty. Basically, I just squirted in the crevices and then used my finger to smudge it out. And I did this, I think, 3 or 4 times, because when this stuff sets, it shrinks. So you're still left with a gap, so you had to kind of apply it in layers. So you can see I'm applying it like liberally, like mayonnaise on bread. And I just squeeze it in the crevice, and I'm using a little pinky and index finger to swipe out the rest. It's a bit of a messy job. I should have used gloves for this, but since this is an acrylic based putty, it goes off pretty quickly and easily. Don't do this if you're using Tamiya putty. This is just, you're never gonna get it off in one go unless you're using some sort of solvents. And again, I'm using time-lapse to make sure that I get the video on time and done, because otherwise it's gonna take forever. I'm just puttying all the little crafts, nooks and crevices. I'm slipping. My tongue is slipping, I'm sorry. Anyway, this is done. Yeah. After all the puttying, I marked the center lines of the butt and the canister on which he's sitting, and I'm gonna be drilling out the hole, because I wanted to make an alignment pin that would make sure that this would always stay there. Now, what you're about to see is a little bit disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. I'm drilling out his butt. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Yeah, look at that. Anyway, I stick it inside, the pole, I just use a brass rod and I cut it out to size. This will be going into the canister. See, it's gonna be aligning them perfectly every single time. Now it's a little loose, so I had to glue it in place afterwards. But here I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting alignment pins inside so that I will just put the radio on top of the box, and it will always stay the same in the same position. I'm marking the little pins on the box and drilling out the holes, matching holes. I wasn't really precise with this one, so I had to bend a little bit those little brass rods to make sure that they fit, but at the end it kind of turned out okay. I should have placed the radio a little bit more to the left, but again, it's okay. Here I was toying with the idea of putting the antenna inside and just making just sticking a brass rod inside, but this idea kind of looks stupid because the antenna on the box looks so much cooler, and I dropped this idea and I made an antenna afterwards from scratch. Now this is one of the things that I had to kind of improvise. The box itself is very plain, so I wanted to make it look like a box, so I just scribed some lines into the plastic until I got the desired result. I just used a little dental tool pick to make sure that I did the planks. I wasn't particularly fancy about making the lines look similar. I just kind of did them by eye so it would look more natural, and here I'm using a little saw to make sure that I simulate the planks that are on the box. So this is how it looks. It's all scratched up. I use a little Tamiya cement to smooth out the cuts, and yeah, this is how it looks. And this is where I primed it already. Yeah, I'm skipping ahead a lot. Basically these are the primed models, and there's another figure that you see here. Oh yeah, this is where I did the triangles. I put those triangles on the tent. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. You see the tent is already like supported with ropes, and I wanted to simulate that because, you know, I wanted to make the tent look more realistic, I guess. So I cut out this little very small triangles from very thin piece of styrene, and I'm gonna simulate, you know, how the tent is supposed to be. Here I'm drilling out the hole on top because you usually see a pole sticking out from the tent. So I'm just using some Tamiya super glue and a brass rod inserted inside. Make sure that it's lined with the rod on the bottom, and I'm drilling on both sides, so on the front and the back. And later on you'll see that it's I use some copper wire to simulate rope that's suspend this thing. So yeah, this is how it looks. And here we are already painting the model, the Kubelwagen. I'm using standard German gray color for painting the Kubelwagen, and I wanted to make a look like, you know, a worn effect look. So I'm painting it in German gray colors. Then I'll be using a chipping effect from AK, and afterwards I'll be painting it in desert colors, and then using water and picks and brushes to remove some of the color so they would be like worn. So basically I just sprayed everything with German gray, and then afterwards you'll see what happens. I think you know what will happen. And this is the dashboard for the car, the Kubelwagen. And yeah, this is me detailing some of the bottom portion. Like I said, I wanted to paint every single surface, even if it's not showing. I just like doing it, you know, painting is fun. So I'm painting the exhausts in this kind of brown, rusty color, and I've also painted the engine. Here I'm detailing the dashboard of the Kubelwagen. It's very straightforward and simple. It's really nice if you find some stock videos or at least pictures of the car that you're building, so that you have reference to see how exactly this is supposed to be painted. Now, of course, there are certain variations. I just stick with one, and it made sense to me at that point, so I painted it in this fashion that you see right now. I'm using Tamiya colors in a very, very fine brush from Tamiya again. Yeah, I'm a fanboy, but these brushes are absolutely great at picking out detail, and I'm pretty pleased with the end result. It could have been a little bit more precise in some parts. If you take a very close look at the dashboard, I did make some boo-boos, but it was close enough for me, so I didn't really lose much sleep over that. So yeah, I'm pretty close to finishing this right now, so I'm just picking out some last minute details, and you'll see the finished result here. Yay, great, looks perfect. Here I'm kind of experimenting with a shot. I was trying to do a time lapse, but it turned out really bad. So basically I was painting these little boards and trying to put some pigments on so to simulate dust buildup. I just used AK's Africa dust and just slopped it in. I lost again a lot of footage because my phone camera, well, it works, but I don't have a lot of memory, and it doesn't really tell me when it stopped recording. So that was just a big nightmare. I lost a lot of footage on this build. So I'm just picking out details with this brush. I think it's FX18. Here I'm painting the seats, khaki. I think this is the khaki color, and I'm gonna be weathering them, making them more weathered. For this effect, I was looking at a very beautiful model that somebody else made on Pinterest, and really he made a very good job at weathering the whole Kubelwagen. So I just wanted to simulate what he had done in the past. So yeah, if I find the photo, I'll put it in the video. You'll see what I mean. Here I am using some regular cement and gluing the two halves together. That's why I left the non-painted parts, so that I wouldn't need to scrape them off. And here are all the painted parts. Yeah, this is how it looked before applying the camouflage. And yeah, this is what I was talking about previously. If you put a steering wheel on the steering column, yeah, it's not gonna work this way. So yeah, I had to take the steering wheel out, and I'm just gluing in place the dashboard. And here I'm attaching the windscreen. It's a really fiddly job. Had to scrape off some paint, otherwise this wouldn't really stick very well. And I think I broke it off at least 3 times when I was handling the model, so really make sure to do a good job and glue this in place. Also, this wing string, the side door mirrors are a little bit fiddly because this design is not very good. You'll see if you build a model, but they should have done a little bit better job on this one. Here I protected the inside workings, and I'm now applying camouflage, well, desert camouflage on it. Before that I sprayed it with chipping medium from AK Worn Effects, I think it's called. So yeah, here I'm just applying some desert paint, and afterward I'll be scraping it off using some water, toothpicks and brushes and toothbrushes, and it's just gonna be fantastic. Yeah, I lost a lot of footage, a lot of footage for this build, and that's why I have a new camera now, because it was really annoying when I started looking at what I've actually captured, and well, I didn't. So here are all the finished seats and the roof, the fold-out roof for the Kubelwagen. Well, this is the car that's weathered and finished. So that's how it looks. A little bit overdone some insert parts, but I like it. Here I'm already attaching the seats inside the car. I'm just gluing them in place. It's a little bit fiddly because you don't have a lot of space for that to happen, so you have to be kind of moving and positioning it into place and making sure that it goes where you want it to go. So, and yeah, I'm sorry about not being in frame. It's just it's a one-man show, and sometimes it's a bad show. So yeah, these are the seats now in place, just reassuring that it's stuck in there, and it is. Here I weathered the bottom. I've just used pigments. It's a little bit light, but because it's not dried yet, so when it's dried it's less obvious. Here I'm painting the rims and the tires of the Kubelwagen. I'm using the same technique as before because I didn't want to have a different shade of desert yellow. So I just I'm painting the rims in German gray, and then going off with desert colors to do exactly the same as before on the body. And yeah, this is the desert yellow, see? Very slowly, I'm doing very slow moves, adding on paint layers. So here are all the 4, well, actually 5 tires. And I'm using, well, rubber black from Tamiya, and using this little paintbrush to slowly paint around the whole tire, making sure that I'm very precise, that I don't make any mistakes, because I didn't really want to redo it. And it turned out, again, really good. The instructions call for black, but I thought, well, black is boring. I wanted to make it a little bit different. I wanted to make tires, you know, and if we have a dedicated tire color, so why not use it? Yeah, this is how it looks. And the decals are really cool. I'm opting for this 1943 version. So here I'm cutting out the license plates and all the necessary other decals. For this version, we are not using the J. We're just using the little palm. I thought it was really cool. I wanted to use it, so that's why I chose the scheme. No other particular reason, really. I just like the palms. And here I'm applying some decals. I didn't show, of course, again, all the application of the decals. Again, footage lost, sorry. Hopefully in the next builds I'll be more diligent. But yeah, I just applied decals with the decal solution. Nothing really fancy. And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it looks with the decals applied. It's a little bit heavy weathered on this side, on the driver's side, because I was still experimenting, but I left it because, you know, why not? On this side it's a little bit more realistic, I guess. It's not as nearly as scratched up. And you can see in the bottom, when the pigment dries, it's nearly not as prominent as before. You can hardly see it, even with the naked eye. And here I'm just doing the last little bit. I'm attaching the spare wheel on the bonnet. Now moving along to the tent, I'm painting it in the desert colors. Again, spraying them in various thin coats of paint, making sure to cover every single surface evenly as much as I can. Yeah. Just make sure that you dilute the paint very well, because if you dilute the paint well and have a low pressure, you'll be painting it pretty much fantastic. I'm also painting the dudes at this point. I think I'm going to show only one guy, how I paint one guy. And this is the guy, the radio operator. I paint the whole guy in the desert colors, and then I just used a little tiny brush to pick out the details with colors afterwards. So I must admit, painting this guy was pretty soothing. I really enjoyed it. Using some skin tone colors. I mixed up skin tone. I didn't use it right off the bottle. I kind of mixed it with other colors like red and yellow and a little green, a little blue, to try to make it more realistic. So this is the guy which is painted already. Yeah, it's really fast, isn't it? This is the canister that he sits on. I've also weathered it, so it's very nice, very nice. And I'm using ochre color to paint the box. This is the base color, and then I'll be painting it with dry brushing it actually with brown. I think it's brown, yeah, to make it more wooden-like. I wanted to make it more softer, more. I wanted to make a wood effect, so this is the end result. Yeah, it's rough, but I wanted it that way. I wanted that way. And this is the radio. I masked off the areas that I didn't want painted, and I just used some base color, the brown, and then I picked out various details on the dials and stuff with a brush. Lost footage, sorry. So yeah, this is how it looks like after it's done. Pretty neat, isn't it? It's lovely. Lovely jubbly. And this is the two halves together, how they look. Yep. And these are the guys and the radio operator, and you know, these are all done and painted. I really enjoyed painting figures. It's really great. I find it very calming and relaxing, and your mind just wanders. Yeah.